Welcome everyone. I'm your host today, Elizabeth Navarrete on Propelio TV. Today we're going to be discussing Wholescaling Live with Jamie and Daniel. Stick around after this word from our sponsors. Hey, welcome back everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is a very special edition on Propelio TV. I'm your host, Elizabeth Navarrete, along with Mr. Propelio himself, Daniel Chad Moore.
Thank you for having me on the show today.
Yes, super excited. Thank you for having us on the show. And Miss Wonderful, Beautiful, and Super Intelligent, Jamie Burleson Wooley. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Too. This is such a special show. I've been looking forward to it all week, and so I'm super excited to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, what we're going to talk about at Wholescaling Live, what it's about, who's going to be there, and why you should be there.
Well, moving forward, I mean, coming through, I know, what was your topic you're going to be talking on?
Mine is going to be kind of metrics and key performance indicators, KPIs.
How has that changed your business? Like, why is that the topic that you chose to speak on?
So basically, KPIs have definitely changed my business tremendously. I think it started when I first learned. Luckily, my first few mentors instilled in me how important it was to track your numbers. I didn't understand it fully then, but as I tried to scale up and do some things like that, I ran into some struggles. I thought, well, if I'm doing 3 houses a month, now I can do 5, and just because I can, let's try this or that. And no longer am I just trying things, it's all data based. So there becomes a point in time where you have enough data to where you can take that data and make moves within your company just from a data perspective, and not from emotion, not from here's where I want to go or here's where I want to be. So knowing your numbers is, to me, the number one most important thing.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
I was never a data guy. I've never been a data guy. I'm very much just an intuition, gut kind of guy.
Yeah.
But that has put me in check more than once. It was like, oops, wrong decision. But asking that, coming from where you're coming from, was there a data point that you started seeing that went contrary to what your gut would have believed? Like, if you hadn't had data in front of you, was there a decision that you would have been like, oh, I definitely need to do this, but then you saw the data and it put you in check and was like, whoa, what's going on here? Is there any of those key moments in your business?
Most definitely. I think the biggest one was when I was doing pay-per-click. So I was doing pay-per-click and it was about $5,000 a deal, which was not a problem. If we're averaging 20 or 25 and I pay 5, I'll play that cash machine all day long, right? Well, out of nowhere, we were still getting our 4 or 5 deals a month from that one lead source. And then I think I got a little lazy on metrics for about 2 months, 2.5 months, reran the numbers. And over the past 5 months, it was about $8,800 a deal. We were etching up to $10,000 a deal. And so if I would have just held off for 1 or 2 months, we could have been at that 10,000 point. And not only that, but we all understand with the new marketing channel, it takes a few months, 2, 3, 4 months to really get going because you have to be consistent. So how am I going to replace those 4 or 5 deals if I'm not able to pivot very quickly when I realize something is not working? So it makes you, it's really about the pivot. It's like, if I can look at these things and understand, even with an acquisitions, there was an acquisitions that we knew that she was not up to par. She was not exactly where we'd want her, but we kept trying to grow her and things like that. I looked back at all of the acquisitions I'd ever had, all the appointments, and I took every single appointment they had, every single deal they had, how much their deals were. I really broke it down very granularly and realized we'd probably lost over $540,000 the 8 months that we kept her on. And by that, not only was I comparing her to my number 1 acquisitions, that would be way more than that. I said, middle of the road, any acquisitions I've had, here's their metrics. If I take their metrics and stick them on what she's had in front of her on her plate, we should have had another $500,000 come into the business this year.
Damn.
That will make you pivot very quickly and will make you make decisions to let somebody go, even though your heart, they're showing up, they're doing, what they need to do, but yet they're not producing. And it's not only hurting me. I don't do this for me. My team all relies on that. Their families rely on that. Right. So it made that decision very easy, to where for the past 8 months before that, it was not at all an easy decision for me.
That's wild, because like
Yeah.
that is where I feel like I have failed the most, is the data, and that is
Really?
where I am just now really diving in deep on, because I am not a left thinker. I am very much, and man, I love seeing data, but I hate populating it.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yes.
a big piece of struggle for me.
Most definitely.
So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy watching that presentation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's going to be really good, because I love how you're also even talking about your team.
Mhm.
I heard an interview you did with Steve Trang also, and that resonated with me as far as hiring your team too, how you bring on your team. I know you're not going to be covering that. That will be covered at the event though.
Yeah, it
we have
will.
Nick
It
Perry
will.
from Austin covering that. But how important it is also to see the metrics of your team, how they're performing, and also bringing on the right people and putting them in the right seats.
Yes.
Because I made the same mistake as well, as far as bringing on people due to heart. Like, oh, you know, you deserve a second chance. I'll help you. We'll help you. Here are leads. Here, there's skip trace. Here's the
Yeah.
dialer. Get on it. You can make money. We'll train you. We'll teach you. And then it's like either they don't log on, or they disappear, or, you know, just so many things. And it's like, well, I was doing something wrong. And I had so many dollars out there like you wouldn't believe, but people
yeah.
were logging on, and it was either because of the internet, or their headpiece isn't working, their headphones aren't working, whatever it is the case. And so so I think that also applies for your team.
100% it does. I mean, the metrics that you can show with your team, how many leads are they getting inbound or outbound? I mean, those types of things you can see very clearly when things are going wrong, because, you know, in the moment, emotionally, you're like, man, we've only gotten this many deals this month, or we've only brought in this much revenue. What's going on? If you go back to those metrics, you can usually pinpoint and find out, oh, the direct mail wasn't working well because we haven't got the normal amount of leads we have every month. What is it? Is it the piece that we're sending out? Is it the way we're answering the phone? Are we not getting to the phone in time? Are we not answering live? There's so many metrics. It gets ridiculous how granular you can get with it, honestly.
Yes.
With as granular as it gets,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to ask, what are like the 5 KPIs that you live on? Like if you had to wipe the board clean,
Yeah.
what are the 5 that your business could not run without?
So the main KPI metrics would be how many leads to get an appointment,
Okay.
how many appointments to get a deal, the average size of that deal, and then I like to track the follow-up from the first day we talked to them until the day that we got the deal under contract, because 40% of my business is follow-up.
Okay.
And you'll find that pretty consistent, you know, with wholesalers doing 50, 100, 200 deals. And so there becomes a time where your team, you know, has a bad week or a bad month, and they start getting down on themselves a little bit. And they say, you know, I'm only getting retail leads, or what's going on? And I can throw up this data. You guys, listen, all of this came from follow-up. Our average day of follow-up is, you know, 76 days. You have to keep following up. And it helps their mindset to actually visually see the amount of deals, to know, you know, what mail piece it came from and when they followed up. And then, of course, you're going to want to know the marketing channel.
Yep.
You know, you're going to want to know what channel it came from. But follow-up's huge in our business, and it also allows you not to keep having to spend money to get more deals. It's like, instead of spending another $10,000, how about we just all jump on the dialer or do our follow-up calls or something like that for 3 days this month? You know?
That's awesome.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And also doing your QC, because when you do your QC on your calls, that helps too. Also,
Yeah.
either reinforce that relationship, or also that will generate a referral for somebody else.
It sure will.
It's happened to us before. We're just calling to see how our acquisitions agent did. Did you feel comfortable? How did the appointment go? That in itself is something different. And there's a little tip for you right there.
I was having a conversation with Gary Harper from Sharper Success Coaching.
Yeah.
And it was a very intriguing conversation that he was telling me about, a very similar path that you were talking about. They would send their acquisitions guy out, and he wasn't a really good closer, but he's really good at building rapport. And he just shifted their business model a little bit. He's like, all right, if you're not the best at closing, but you're really good at getting that rapport, how about as soon as you leave, your business partner's at the office, she's really good at the closing piece.
Yep.
Why don't you have her call as soon as you leave and just
I like
say,
that.
we're going to do a QC, and just say, how did he perform? Did he give you a fair offer? Did he do this? Did he do that? And then let her close over the phone, and just let him sit down the
like
street
it.
5
Right.
blocks away.
I like it.
Because a lot of times, as soon as he'd walk out, the seller would get that did I miss out? That fear of missing out.
Yep.
Did I lose the contract? And the seller would get that. And then when the closer would call from the office, the homeowner would be like, yeah, go ahead and send him back. and they ended up getting like twice as many contracts just by that QC call. So those little tips that you can get from people are amazing.
Yes,
it's those
really
little
is.
things that make a difference, because truly, how many people are doing that? Maybe
never
not a
did.
lot, right? Not a lot of people talk about that. So also you have to go against the grain a little bit in that sense. Okay, maybe do something different that others aren't doing, and that'll set you apart.
We just actually had this conversation with my team last week, because we were talking about communication, how that's so important. And so when you do those follow-up calls, it lets you know, even if it's after the fact of a contract, it will let you know if the transaction coordinator is not reaching out good enough, or if there's an issue behind the scenes. So just those simple calls like that can find holes in your business that you can plug together as a team, as long as you're keeping that communication, in line. And I love that they pivoted and realized his strengths and his weaknesses and rolled with that,
Right.
That's what you have to do.
That's key, because, for example, if you've been doing this business for a long time, or even if you've just started, once you've made it or you're doing well, that doesn't mean that you're set. That's it. That's your model and you're good to go. You can go on vacation and take 100 days off a year. No, you have to continuously, and I can't reiterate this enough, you have to continuously reinvent yourself and make sure things are running smoothly. And if they're not, be open to change, because this business is about change. There's things constantly, with the evolution of technology, things are constantly changing.
Marketing channels change.
Absolutely.
Market cycles change. The economies change. Your employee base changes. I mean, everything's constantly changing. And if you're not paying attention, you can really quickly find yourself 6 months behind, a year behind. Like with your Facebook stuff, it was rocking and rolling, and then out of nowhere, you almost saw a 100% raise in your acquisition cost. And if you're just depending upon that singular channel and you're not prepared to pivot, then you're going to get left behind. I think pivot is a great word to use for this entire conversation.
Absolutely, yes.
Because the faster that you can turn and just keep up with times, the better you're going to do as a business owner in general.
It's the only way that I've stayed relevant with this business right now, because if not, I mean, we wouldn't be in business anymore. If I would have just stuck with what I was doing year one, there'd be no way we could make it right now.
Our business model has shifted too, because we were relying heavily on flipping, and then we were realizing, okay, these flips are now taking a little bit longer to sell, and so this may not be our main focus anymore. We're going to do other things. So we've had to pivot within our own style of doing business, and even increasing our team, growing our team. That has changed too, because it used to be more heart, like, oh yes, I'll give you a chance. Now it's like, okay, no, we're gonna do a PI test, and we're
it's data now. For sure.
It is. Absolutely. Yep.
So if anybody watching right now already has your tickets to Wholescaling Live, drop in the comments who you're looking forward to speak. How many speakers do we have at the Wholescaling event?
15.
We have 15 speakers at the Wholescaling event. So if you've already got your tickets to the Wholescaling event, October 4th through 6th, correct?
Correct.
Let's drop in the comments who your favorite speaker is and why it is that you are attending to get those nuggets. Let's figure out what you're looking for from that event.
Yeah, that's
absolutely. Awesome. And in addition to October 4, 5, and 6, we're throwing in an additional day on Monday. It's kind of like a half day where we're going to do a think tank.
Oh, wow.
So whoever is in town and has availability and their flight, it doesn't leave till later in the day, we'll have some time to sit down, meet together, and do a think tank session where we'll talk about issues that are happening that's happening in your business. How can we help you? How can we address them? And it's a great way to kind of tie everything up from what we from all the knowledge.
That's going to be
from
great.
The weekend.
That is going to be really
good. So
good.
I hope you stick around, Daniel.
I will definitely.
Jamie, hopefully that would be great.
One thing that I didn't disclose is that October 5th is my anniversary.
Oh.
So like I'm already in some pretty deep heat, but I'm gonna see what we can pull off there. Yeah, like whenever it got booked, I was like, I had to go talk to my wife and be like, so it's all good.
Well, maybe she could come with, I mean, maybe.
Right. That's a good idea.
For our anniversary.
We'll have the anniversary suite. So concierge, if you're watching, please let's get a beautiful honeymoon suite for them so they can feel happy and not
rose petals on the bed.
Right. Yes. The whole shebang. Yes.
Oh, the romance is flowing here.
It is. So yes. So that extra day, that think tank, it's going to be something that we thought. Well, you have people that usually linger that last day or that Monday, And we figured, well, let's put that time to good use. And let's just meet up and talk about even what systems you're using, or if you need an upgrade, or if you need a recommendation of something, whatever it is that wasn't clear to you over the weekend, we're gonna tie that all up on Monday.
That's where some of the biggest success in my businesses came from, was getting myself in the right seat in the right room with the people that knew what was going on. Like, I've invested clear over $100,000 into my real estate investing education. I've spent that on people that absolutely blew my business up, and I've spent that on people that absolutely just destroyed my business. Like, so I really, so a lot of people get the wrong impression from me that I'm completely and totally anti-education, anti-mentors. I'm just anti-con artists, because there's like a lot of them in this space, and it's really hard to differentiate between the ones that are truly out there to help you and the ones that are out there to just dig into your pocket. But with spending well over $100,000 on my education, I would do that all over again, because it was those specific seats that I got to sit in where I just got enough of a shift, because that little quarter inch of a shift changes your trajectory big time over the course of a year. And those little shifts are what made my business boom. And I'm all for that. So if you're able to get into a seat with some of these speakers that we have lined up at Wholesaling Event, it's going to be wild.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, the whole vision behind Wholesaling Live was not just scale your real estate business, but scale it as a whole, your entire operation as a whole. That's why we have so many speakers, because everyone's achieved different things and everybody is an expert at different things. Even though we all run maybe not similar operations, but along the same lines, we all have, or everybody has their own season. I like to call it their secret sauce or their own seasoning to doing things. And so, yeah, I agree with you on that, Daniel. With the whole education thing, it's something where you have to be cautious on where you spend it. And I like that you've chosen, because I've spoken to you in depth about this, about mentors and how you have different mentors for different aspects of your business. I like that. I admire that.
One piece of that I'd like to say, and we were discussing that right before we got on air, is like, we all have done our businesses totally differently. There is no one size fits all answer to any business. I have my personality traits that I thrive on. Y'all do as well. We all went down separate paths. We all became successful. So that's one of the key things of having so many speakers at an event like this, is because you can see many different points of view, because I don't think that any of us did the same thing. Yet we've all achieved a level of success that we would all be considered grateful for. And I believe that's an extremely important thing to take away from it, because like, I will, like, as we do on Grant's show on Wednesdays, I'll debate him all day long. I'll debate probably anybody all day long, because we all have different opinions and we all have different paths, and it's important to follow them.
Absolutely. You know, with me, I'm more like, I'm hands-on, so I like to have my hand in everything. And so for a long time, we were just a really small team. And then with time, I realized, okay, this is not going to go very far, because I wanted my hand in everything. And I realized, okay, I have to learn how to delegate and trust that the people we have on our team, they're going to know what they're doing, because we guided them the right way, and we're going to make this happen. And if not, we're here to help tweak things that need to be tweaked.
I so envy you. My biggest problem has always been letting go.
It's hard, Daniel. I'm not. It's hard. Very hard.
How has that changed your business by doing that? Because I am just now to the point where it's like, I've got to do this.
To me, it's given me what you were saying earlier, time. It's giving me time freedom, that I can choose when I want to be in and when I want to take some time away to get some mentoring of other kind, or explore other things. But that's the best gift I could have gotten, is time, that time freedom. Because before, it was like, I couldn't go out of town for anything in the world. Like, you would have told me, oh, a vacation. I'm like, what vacation? I was so frazzled like this, you know. But what vacation? Because if I left, I was afraid that we would come back and there would be no business around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it's the same thing as Elizabeth said, but I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a visionary. I get excited about so many different things, and I realized that I'd be stuck. If I didn't let it go, I could never do some of these other things that I aspire and want to do, which in the end makes me not happy. And then my team's not going to be that happy, because then I'm frustrated when things are going on or we're dealing with things. I'm more frustrated, not necessarily with exactly what's going on, but what I'm missing out on.
That makes sense.
So it's like, can I have my cake and eat it too? Yeah, you kind of can, you know. It's not that it's easy. I'm still in the office 3 days a week, you know. And it's unfortunate for Ashlyn, my COO, because when I am, she's on the phone or something like, hey, no, you need to tell him this, you need to do that. So because I'm controlling.
Oh, you're one of those.
I'm controlling. And so I go in the big room and like, she'll leave the door. I'm like, you better shut the door because I can't hear, because I can't help it. Like I want to step in.
I get it. So Jamie's out of sight, out of mind, just kind of like keep it away from
that
you.
is the thing. And then some people think that, I didn't care. So I have to be, there's a balance there. It's really hard because I'm an all or nothing, so it's kind of like I'm all in your face or I'm out of the way and letting you do your thing. So it's a balance that I struggle with all the time. But I'm so excited about the next level stuff I'm doing. I'm so excited about the land and the, throwing houses on that I could not do that if I didn't let go, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. I want to write a book one day, stuff like that. Like that to me would make me go to bed and not be satisfied knowing that like I'm stuck in this whirlwind of day to day that I can never reach out to any of those things. So I allowed that to be greater than the fear of me delegating.
That's awesome. I love that.
So I put that in the forefront.
With that topic, let's move on to a break real fast. So for those of y'all watching, stick around. We're going to take a small break for our sponsors. My wife did chime in, though, on our honeymoon. She had to put this out there publicly.
Oh, boy.
On our honeymoon, the day we got married, guess what we did? We got married. We hopped on a flight to Las Vegas to meet with Robert Kiyosaki to get inducted into the Hall of Fame on our honeymoon night before we actually started honeymoon because I could not stop business for that long. Like we had to do it. Like the night of our honeymoon, flew into Vegas to meet with Robert and then took off. So that was horrible. Thanks for putting that out there publicly.
Thank you, Miranda. I love learning more about you and Daniel.
You say it's horrible, but Robert Kiyosaki, most people would say, "Wow, that's a dream,"
Yeah,
so
that was wild. It was a crazy day. So. Stick around. We'll be back from the break. Give us about 30 seconds and we'll come back and we'll be talking more about what we're going to be doing at Wholescaling Live and look forward to seeing you there.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, burr, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're having a casual and very interesting conversation here with Daniel and Jamie about Wholescaling Live and about our businesses, how we're learning to let go and maybe not let go. Right, Daniel? So now give us the other side of the coin.
So on my side, I have to let go. We've talked about this a little bit. For me, I want to let go. And the thing that stops me from letting go is systems, accountability, structure. So that way I know that whenever I have an idea and I put it out there to the universe, that it's documented somewhere and it's going to be done. And up until meeting with Gary Harper from Harper Success Coaching, I was missing that piece. We were really missing that final layer. So I'm always trying to keep all of that in my head so I don't forget about it because I'm not good at the documenting piece. I'm really good at coming up with the stuff. I'm not good at documenting it. So knowing that it's being documented somewhere, that there's a path to getting it there, I can now let it out of my mind and relax. And my weekly sleep schedule up until the last month, it was maybe 10 to 20 hours of sleep a week. And that's it. So I was getting on average 2, maybe 5 hours of sleep on a good night. Good night, I was getting 5 hours of sleep. Some nights, maybe an hour. And that's just because my mind could not shut off. I was constantly just driving myself. And now that I'm getting it out, getting it documented, seeing the processes are put behind it, it's allowing me to relax and say things are happening. Because all I was ever doing was wondering, it's freaking me out. So that piece of my business has been the biggest struggle for me. And I've got to give a big shout out to Gary Harper for putting that together for me.
Yes, it's Gary is godsend. I really was very impressed. I've heard a lot about him throughout the years, and just recently I've been trying to connect with him, and finally it happened. We went to Chicago. We actually were at the same workshop together, and he's just phenomenal. His team is, I'm so impressed. It's the entire Harper family.
It is.
It's so beautiful to see that. It's like, okay, so I know you're related because you look like Susan, right? They all look like each other. Oh, just great. And Gary's going to be also at Wholescaling Live, and he's going to do a couple of things at Wholescaling Live. He is going to set the tone for our event. So he's going to be our opening speaker, setting the tone as far as talking about the traits of leadership, traits of a leader. What encompasses a good leader? And he's going to talk about that. And then he's also going to do a very special intro for one of our speakers. He was, so if you guys know who Rafael Vargas is, he's one of our headliners. And Gary was his very first mentor.
Oh, wow.
He's the one that taught him process mapping and things like that. So, and this was before Rafael really just grew so big and where he is now. And Gary was his very first mentor. So Gary has a lot of history with Rafael, knows him very, very well, knows him to the core. And something that I loved that he shared with me in Chicago was that something about Rafael a lot of people don't know is that he focuses, he measures his level of success on refining to maybe not so much success, but the quality of success. So not quantity of success like in the Bible, right? The quality of success. So that's what's also set him apart and enabled him to be as successful as he is, because he's honed in on the quality of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So my understanding of Gary Harper is he rolled through. He was a Fortune 500 COO or some high level executive.
Yes.
And then he broke away from that, went into real estate, and immediately started applying processes and procedures to real estate. Knocked out like 1,200 deals over the course of a short period of time. And he has built a business model around right people, right seats, and really understanding what personality types need to be in what positions of a real estate investing business. And sitting down and hearing him talk, it's like, man, there's a wealth of information in this guy.
Oh, a lot. It was nonstop the entire time we were there. It was like, I was just, at some point, I was like, I'm not going to take notes. I'm just going to absorb, because all the taking notes was distracting me. But he is something quite phenomenal.
He really is. And I think his specialty is working with visionaries. And that's important because, as you said, the processes, the documentation, it sucks. I hate doing that stuff. I think true hardcore visionary entrepreneurs cannot stand to step away and like get that stuff on paper. Sometimes we have to, we have to do it. But as soon as I met Gary and got to know him, and I definitely mentioned, I'm like, you know what, like, because he thrives on working with visionaries. I was like, Daniel is such a high visionary.
Yes.
If you can process that out for him, like, it's insane, because we kind of talk about when he'll look at our profiles versus others, and he's like, man, yours is pretty high. There's not very many that's as high as I've seen yours and things like that. And I'm like, but have you seen Daniel's?
Daniel's
have you seen mine?
I was there.
Like, he took mine. He said, man, seriously, like, you broke the mold on several pieces.
Yeah.
He's like, I took my PI test, and my visionary piece has an arrow on it. And it hits the edge of the chart, and there's an arrow that says off the chart.
Yeah.
It is like beyond, not a joke, there's an arrow.
We don't even calculate this kind of stuff.
There's an arrow on the side of my chart, and it just says keep going. But beyond that, you have the 3 personality types. So like, this is who I am, this is who I'm trying to adapt to be, and this is who I am around other people. I didn't deviate. They were all 3 the same. It's like,
that's good.
I am comfortable. I'm not trying to change who I am.
That's
I'm perfectly
good to
fine
know.
with who I am. Right. And then as a visionary said, especially with a visionary that's that far off the charts, it almost comes as an emotional thinker, because you get really tied to emotion and everything. But he said, you are an off the charts visionary that is very comfortable with who they are, not trying to adapt, and you are a logical thinker. So as a off the chart visionary, it's very rare for a visionary to be able to look at something logically and say decisions on that. He's like, so dude, like, you broke the mold there. So that's me kind of like being excited about that. But
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But EOS and kind of what he is now put in place, and it's cool. Ashland is actually going to do the COO training.
Oh, wow.
So, you mentioned earlier, like, it was easier for me to do it by myself because I'd never built out a business and systems and managing people, things like that. Well, I had never managed anybody, and I'm an emotional person. I'm not the best person to manage somebody. If they make a mistake, I'm like, it's going to be okay. Let's just not let it happen again. They keep making it. I'm like, okay, at some point there has to be some discipline here,
Yes.
And he basically stepped in and taught us how to do kind of the COO role, and realized that, Jamie, you're not able to be in this management seat. Like, you have to get out, because I can't shift myself enough to be good at it. So we brought in Ashland, and we actually are doing the COO course. She just got that yesterday, and it's a complete training course on how to be a COO, because I don't know how to teach her all of those things.
Right.
I don't know, because I'm not good at it. If I'm not good at something, I don't need to be teaching it, but I do know somebody in my network, or a mentor, or can learn how to, teach somebody to be good at it.
That's a key thing, I believe, to growing a business is resourcefulness. Like, you do not have to possess all traits. You just have to be aware enough of the traits that you do not possess or the abilities that you do not have, and then look into your network and then start filling those gaps. Because you can only run solo for so long before you hit a ceiling, and that ceiling will never disappear until you start filling in the gaps.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Which all the speakers basically should bring something to the table. I mean, if you're not good at hiring, okay, we have a speaker for that. If you're not good at, I mean, it's like marketing with anything that with the wholesaling, there's going to be a speaker for every part in your business as to where you might be weak. They can give you the keys as to how to strengthen those, and then you should be able to find the resources within something they have to offer or someone else that's going to be at the event. Like that's really cool.
That's the whole goal. Yeah. We were like, we just pretty much sat down. This is how it went. When we sat down to plan this event, we're like, what are all the issues real estate investors are having in their business? I mean, and it went from leads to hiring to pivoting, all the things you can imagine that we've already experienced, and some of us are probably currently experiencing if we're scaling or we're growing or we're trying to adjust our teams. Because I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to say, right now what we're doing is we're tweaking our team, and so we've done a transition from having a team locally where we're now having teams overseas. And then we switched there too, because we started with the Philippines, and then we realized that that wasn't really working for us. So we switched over to South America. And so all that is, you may think, oh, that's simple, but it does take some time to get it all right.
Yes, it's a lot.
Well, once you do it, you reap the rewards of the delegation, of the time freedom, and the systems and processes that you can count on.
Well, we're talking about change. Why don't you share a little bit of your insight on the market and what it's doing? Is it changing? Is it not changing? Like
I don't want to be a doomsday guy. All I want to say is that
we want reality. We want to be prepared.
The possibility of what's coming is real. And I am no expert on this. I'm not an economist, but fortunately enough, I do have one that works with me. So he's pulling all the data together to truly present what I believe is happening. So that way I've got the data and facts behind it. But one of the key things that I missed going through the last downturn of the real estate cycle was a mentor on my side that understood a cyclical market. I was hiring mentors that had only been in the business for 2 or 3 years, or I was hiring mentors that were in the business 15 years ago and were doing nothing but selling training packages based upon a market 15 years ago. Every real estate investing strategy there is, and there's a bunch of them, have a specific part of an economy that they work best in. The markets move in cycles. We hit levels of support, we hit levels of resistance, and through seeing the support and resistance in a market cycle, you can start correctly applying the right strategy for the right cycle. Like if I'm at the very top of a market cycle where I'm starting to see resistance, I'm starting to see longer days on market, higher months of inventory, higher or lower margins where I'm having to fight to get deals, that's probably not the best time to be doing a traditional flipping model. You're putting yourself at the risk of the market, because if the market contracts or pulls back, you may lose all of the equity you're in. One of the key things that I found that I thought was very cool, whenever I was flipping in 12, 13, 14, I'd get a property at 70 cents on the dollar, and after a 3-month hold, I actually appreciated another $8, $9, $10, $11, $12,000 in that time. It was a great time to flip because the market's going with you. When you're sitting at the top of the market's starting to flatten out or drop, and you're trying to flip, the market is flipping against you. That's not a good thing. So we're going to be discussing like what happens if we're at the top of the market and it does pop. Everybody jumps out, and Warren Buffett says this great. He's like, I get greedy when people sell, and I sell when people get greedy. Well, if we're at the top of the market, we should really be culling our inventory and going into a cash position, because when it drops, if you're a one-trick pony and all you know how to do is flip, all you know how to do is wholesale, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage to when that market does shift, because when that market shifts, it becomes abundant. Everybody's selling. Everybody's getting rid of everything. If you're out there complaining right now saying, hey, you know, I can't get a deal. I can't get anything at a below an 80% margin. And, you know, we do have off-case scenarios. But if you're really struggling right now, you should be looking forward to the market correcting, because when the market corrects, that is going to be the biggest shift of wealth there ever was. And I'm going to be dropping some major bombs at Wholesaling Live, not only on how the market downturns, because cash is king when the market does downturn. Lending dries up, the abundance becomes there, private capital starts getting deployed, and the capital is what becomes scarce at the point in time you hit the bottom. I'm going to be discussing during Wholesaling Live how whenever this does go south, how you can get access to hundreds of millions of dollars and win all across the board. I'm excited about this.
I can tell.
I'm excited about it.
It's like, can we just stop the show now and you can tell us more? Yeah, I mean, that sounds super exciting, because we need to be prepared.
Yeah.
Whether it's a really low dip or it's
Flattens.
just yes, or
mean,
it flattens.
yeah.
We those strategies can also be applied, correct?
I mean, you need to know what it is. Like, if we go for a full dive, well, there's going to be certain strategies that are going to apply really well. As it is absolutely tanking, credit's going to dry up. When credit dries up, you're going to need to be able to understand creative financing, because creative financing will play well there, especially on a downturning market. You're going to have other tools in your tool belt. As you start tanking, you're going to need to understand shorts. Like in 2008, Bank of America, Chase, their loss mitigators, the people that process shorts, they were like in a closet somewhere, one person. No one was thinking about loss mitigation in 2007 at Chase. So 2008 hits, their processes for shorting were not there. So shorts were just dominating 2008, 9, 10. But as it tanks, you got to learn this creative financing, understand shorts. Then once you hit the bottom, I'll start talking about a flipping cycle. I say you don't want to flip at stage 6. You do not want to flip at stage 6. If you do not understand cyclical markets. But stage 6, in my opinion, stage 5, stage 6 is the absolute best time to flip. But most people's hold times on a flip are around 30 days. I say 30 days, around 90 days. 90 days on a flip. I say your average flip should be 7 years. And that's where people are going to get confused. And what I mean by that is you buy everything low. You hold them in cash flow. And I'll get into this extreme detail on the present. You buy at the bottom, you cash flow them, you depreciate them, you hold them out through the cycle, you wait till stage 5, turn them off and churn, capitalize, and make for the next downturn. And if I had understood that, if I had the right mentors in my corner explaining to me, this is the way these markets work, and back in 2012, instead of sitting on a 7-figure net worth, I'd be sitting on a solid 8-figure to 9-figure net worth right now, just for nothing other than understanding what I'm going to be teaching at Wholesaling.
Wow.
So if y'all are wondering if you should go, I mean, this right here
Drop
should
a
tell
link in
you,
the comments.
Absolutely.
I mean, I myself, Ashlyn, my COO, she's watching a seller financing video. We're learning about notes with Eddie Speed. Like, my goal, like, for the next probably 12 months is just to not only me understand it, but my team to start understanding in depth. We do get the subject to when we understand seller financing and owner financing, but there are certain things that I want my team to know in depth a lot more so they can understand, because as we do move on, this is another reason why I have 6 different marketing channels. If one stops working, I still have 5. Same things with the tools in our tool belt. If wholesaling, if flipping, if subject to, if shorts, there's so many creative ways. And the more I educate myself, the more excited I get, because I'm like, man, I'm unstoppable. Because
that's exactly
because
the
really,
point.
I used to be scared. I'm like, oh gosh, like people are talking about the market could shift, but then
you should
I
be
just
excited
started
about that. Like,
yeah,
that's
but
exciting. That's exciting.
It's new opportunities.
yes.
These are opportunities that
Yes.
people like us, we've been waiting for.
Yes.
And it scares other people, but this is the opportunity for us.
Yeah, when I first got in, the first 6 months, I didn't understand any of that. I was just trying to grasp wholesaling and flipping a few houses. And then as time goes on, I love, there's so many good podcasts and stuff like out there, but I am now only educating myself on the creative side or land development. I mean, all different types of other things other than wholesaling and flipping. I do wholesaling and flipping pretty dang good. So I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty good at it. So now it's like, put that aside, let that conveyor belt just keep going and learn all of these other things, because when it happens, I'm going to be ready.
I think that's
it's
the
exciting.
evolution of an investor. Like, you can be a one-trick pony investor, but your success will only live within a certain period of a cycle. And if you are smart enough to realize that you are a one-trick pony, jump in on that one cycle, and that one cycle will feed you for years. You don't have to continue that throughout the whole thing. But if you want to be an investor that survives and continues investing for decades, you have to understand the cycles in multiple different strategies. If I'm trying to flip when the market pops, you're out of business. If I'm trying to do that in the wrong cycle, you will be put out of business. But if you understand you're a flipper and you don't want to do anything else, just understand that you jump in at the right time and that you don't deviate from that, and you get out at the right time. Whenever the market starts saying, I need to do larger volumes at smaller margins to survive, you're in the wrong market at the wrong time. You need to jump out. So I get really excited about that, and I'm glad to see that you are putting all those pieces together, because I've been saying for the last year repeatedly, you are not a wholesaler. Stop this. I see everybody trying to jump into this saying, oh, I'm going to wholesale, I'm going to wholesale, I'm going to wholesale. Great. I am not saying anything negative about that whatsoever. You can get into this business quickly and easily. I'm not going to say easily. I don't want to say that. You can get into this business and make a ton of money wholesaling. But if you do nothing but wholesale, your ability to survive and create generational wealth is going to be severely hindered by your mindset. You need to get out of that wholesaling mindset, incorporate multiple entrance and exit strategies so that way you can take an asset that you see, maximize every dollar out of every asset that you get, and you're not sitting there saying, okay, I'm going to take a $6,000 assignment fee, I'm going to take a $14,000 assignment fee. Next time you take down a deal, say, you know what, I'm going to make the $94,000 on this deal that I would have made if I employed another entrance and exit strategy. I'll maximize this lead and I'll turn it into $418,000 of long-term passive income because I'm going to purchase it, buy it, sell it on a down payment, wrap it, collect the income, and do multiple different things that will allow you to maximize everything you do. Because if you're going out there and you're looking other than that quick buck, you're not going to get wealthy.
Right.
No, not at all. We throw up properties all the time, and I'll say, look, if we did this strategy, it would be like you're saying, we could get 15 now, 20 now, or we could get 230 over the next 15 years, you know, and it's like, who would do that? But it's just learning, knowing you do need cash flow, quick cash flow. So you do have to have 3, 4, 5 months, you know, sitting to be able to sustain that switch, you know, but I really don't look at what I do as wholesaling and flipping anymore. I look at it as a property conveyor belt, and I'm talking land, I'm talking commercial, I'm everything.
You throw a thing on a commercial belt and it's like sub 2 wrap.
Yeah,
well,
it's like, it's literally like I can take this and deploy one of these 10 strategies and it's going to make sense.
Yes.
So it's all about, we want to do marketing and we want to get these properties on the conveyor belt, and then we'll just pick one off at a time and decide which box they'll fit in better. And that is the sexiest thing ever.
And I think that's where you truly become a long-term wealthy investor that'll be sitting on a massive portfolio in the next decade that is not only retirement for yourself, but it is changing the generations to come, because those assets can be passed down. And not only those assets, the biggest asset that I believe is available to anyone in the world today is knowledge. Knowledge is absolutely in the world. The birth of the internet has allowed us as a generation advantages that generations prior to us did not have. We have an abundance of education available to us regularly at the drop of you know, like boom, I can open up my phone. Okay, I want to learn this.
See anything you want to learn.
And the Propelio Academy is a big piece of that. We have put a massive amount of effort into putting the Propelio Academy out there. The Propelio Academy is an altruistic free resource to real estate investors to learn from beginning to end multiple different entrance and exit strategies. And the thing that I would have to ask the crowd right now is, like, if I take an independently wealthy, self-made, I say self-made, we all have a team around us, but somebody that came up from the bottom and struggled their way to the top and made millions of dollars, I guarantee on almost 9 out of 10 of them, if not even 9.9 out of 10 of them, that if I bankrupted them today, that within 18 to 24 months, they would be right back again. Because the biggest struggle to getting to that net worth is not the work. We all work hard. How many people out there right now are working their asses off? Working your ass off is not the key to it. There is definitely, you have to work your ass off, but we all work our ass off.
Absolutely.
We just have to work our ass off with the right knowledge. And if we once we've earned that knowledge, once we have built that into our mind, the next time up the ladder is just like whoop. It took us 5 years to get there the first time because we're doing this. The second time around, we've already figured the path out and we just do this. So like if you once you've got the knowledge, you can pass that down to the next generation. You can pass that on to your friends and family and say, this is the knowledge that is needed to get to this level. Hand it down to the next one and just bring them up with them. So that moving forward, we've got a break, and we're going to come right back after about 30 seconds from our sponsors.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites. Access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome back. We're having a super interesting conversation with Daniel and Jamie about Wholesaling Live and about cyclical markets and tracking your KPIs and how everything that we're discussing today is tying into Wholescaling Live, our event in Houston, October 4, 5, and 6. It's for anybody that's looking to scale their business, their real estate business, without any pitches. Nobody's going to pitch from stage. It's absolutely pitch free, and it's knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. And everything that we're going to learn that weekend or hear that weekend is so important and vital to our business. We were just talking about mindset too. Yesterday, I was with BP, Brian Ponciano from Phoenix, and we were talking about mindset, how that is everything, whether you're new or you're seasoned. He's like, look, my avatar are seasoned people in real estate. Why? Because you get burned out. You start feeling like the pressures of how can I keep up with all this? And that's the person that I want to talk to. He's like, I want to talk to the new ones too, but the people that are seasoned, they forget that they have to have their mindset on point all the time. And that's what he does for a living. He mentors people on mindset. And I'm like, I didn't think about that. You're right. And we just started talking about it, and he almost broke me down because he was telling me about all this mindset stuff. And it's so true, because sometimes we get so much in our minds, or we get so stuck on things, and we don't realize that we need to step out of our minds and really work on that.
That's really important, because if there are seasoned people watching right now, the grind to get to where it is that we are, especially if we came up on that path, because like you get hit with a ton of failures, like you're constantly bouncing from failure to failure to failure, and it's our perseverance that gets us through that. But at the end of that, a really long hike up a long hill with no path carved for us, it's a daunting task, and it takes a big toll on us physically, mentally, emotionally, and it's rough. It really is.
Absolutely. And then with data that we were talking earlier, how important that is, your metrics that you're going to talk about, and the data, how key that is. We're going to have Annie Draganova from Backskip Tracing also talking to us about that. So that's going to be really great. I mean, we thought about everything, and we were thinking about key people in mind, like Steve. Steve Tran's going to talk about the perfect seller appointment. So how not to leave an appointment with a seller saying maybe. Well, think about it. He wants you to walk out from that appointment with a contract in your hand. So all these topics are so interesting, and you're going to do something special with RJ. Tell us.
It's kind of exciting. So metrics, can get a little boring at times. I taught about metrics on Propelio, and I look back and I'm like, that seemed a little bit boring. I mean, it is what it is. Data drives our business. It is data, not drama. But yet, when you're talking about data and metrics for an hour, like, I don't want to be the most boring person on stage the whole time. Like, that's not okay. So RJ and myself are going to kind of combine together. We're going to take, what he's doing virtually and networking and how he's building his business and what I'm doing, and put the metrics in there. But also, we want to share like failures and what we've learned from those. I think that's so important as we talk, and everybody talks about their experience and their business and how well they're doing. There's a lot of failures along the way that teach you lessons. So we want to bring those things up. We want to give you tips and tricks. And so we're going to kind of make it fun and kind of banter back and forth. We're really good about that, kind of like brother and sister bantering. So I think it'll be fun kind of kicking that back and forth, and, ask some questions. We want you guys to ask us questions on the spot. I know that, when you're watching a speaker for an hour and you're thinking about, man, I wish I could ask this, this, and this, and you may reach out to them later and not hear back. Like, we're going to be on stage and give you that opportunity to like ask us questions, and we'll answer them right there on the spot for you guys. So I think it'll be pretty fun.
So you heard it here first. We're RJ and Jamie are going to do a Q&A at the end of their presentation. So that's incorporated in the time that they have on stage. So that'll be great, because you'll be able to ask live questions and get them answered on the spot. And I know you will have an opportunity to do that too, Daniel. Maybe not during your hour, but there will be another opportunity.
Can't copy. We can't.
Oh,
that's
but
our thing.
But he's also going to get a Q&A because he asked me for it, so we're going to give it.
What I intend. What did I just say? Like, you take somebody, you make your way up that hill, you figure the path out. No matter what happens moving into the future, they could take your fortunes away, they could take X, Y, Z away, but what they cannot take away is your knowledge and understanding of getting to that path. So in my opinion, the biggest strength to getting to the top is the knowledge. And I intend to drop massive amounts of knowledge on that stage at Wholescaling Live. And one of the key things that I want everyone to walk away with is a millionaire's mindset, how to get to the top. And I understand that a lot of people in that crowd will not be prepared to have a millionaire's mindset dropped on them yet, but I will share that with them. And not only will I share that mindset with them, I will give them a step-by-step action plan for how to become a millionaire within the next 7 years. follow the system. I will drop it all out there. I'm not selling anything. I'm dropping it all out there.
Yeah.
And I will show them how, as a holistic team, we can all join together and make millions while not competing with each other, while helping each other. And that is a key piece to what I believe in.
Absolutely.
I like that abundance mentality. I mean, you drop so much knowledge on Propelio for free. When people reach out to me, whether it's after a podcast or a speaking event, and do you coach, do you mentor? Like, no, I don't, but I can tell you exactly where to go. And I literally have it like on a Word document. I have this whole paragraph with, Propelio's link, because to me, there's no better place than to go to Propelio for free. Education, all in one place. So you cannot say that it's not the knowledge that you have. The more knowledge we have, I'll be honest, it feels like more excuses. So like, how can you even have that excuse? Like, look at all the abundance of knowledge that we have,
Right.
So I don't deal well with excuses, with that being said.
Yes, exactly. And going off of that, no excuses. There is no excuse for you not to make it. Maybe you're having a difficult month. Maybe some deals fell through. So you know what? For today only, or actually the next 48 hours, and for starting now, the next 48 hours, this is a one-time opportunity. We're going to do 50% off all ticket levels just through Propelio, and your promo code will be Propelio Live. What do you think about that? You like that?
Absolutely love
yes,
that.
Right? So thank you, Daniel, for motivating us to do that. Daniel said, we want more people to show up. What do we need to do to fill that place up? Well, you know what? We're going to do 50% off the next 48 hours, ticket levels.
That's a huge
That's
savings.
a big deal.
We don't want anybody to miss out. We really, really don't. There's going to be so much information and knowledge shared that weekend that we just don't want that to be an excuse that they can't make. Look, if we could do it for free, we would, right? But unfortunately, we can't. So the best we can do, 50% off all ticket price levels.
That is an absolute savings. So if we don't have the link out there yet, we're going to go ahead and drop that link out there right now. Make sure you use the discount code Propelio Live to make sure that you get access to the discounts that she's talking about. But this event has 15 powerhouses standing there. I don't see anywhere else you're going to be able to go and see the 15 points of view, because you can follow one person and you can really connect with that person, but at some point in time, you're going to consume what that person has to offer. You're going to have that. You get 15 different points of view. You're going to be able to see many different thought processes that will deviate from each other, that are all paths to success. But for me, some of the biggest ticket items that I've ever gone to is paying $15,000 to $20,000 to go to an event and walk away with one nugget.
Right.
But that one nugget was the one nugget that I needed. So like, we're dropping a lot of nuggets all at once. So right there for you, it's gonna be wild.
That's absolutely
I see a big theme going here. So like, you don't want anybody to miss out. You want them to get all the education and all the tools. And yes, you do have to pay for the event, and you have to make it worth your time, because your time is worth so much. He gives out so much as far as the free information and things like that. But then they have this amazing software, Propelio. I kind of did the same thing with the next level, basically, I wanted all types of different investors to come together at 10% of what you normally would pay for a mastermind. It's like, we still want everybody to have this amazing education, the amazing tools, without the excuse of they can't afford it, or they can't do it, or it doesn't make sense. Like, I think that's pretty cool. I just realized that, though, that like we all kind of are wanting to give back, and we have to make it worth our time, and we have bills to pay, but it's still such a fraction of the cost. There's no reason not to take advantage.
We all win together.
We all win together.
It's like, if you're coming into this, and I need to make this a strong point, if you come in this with that scarcity mindset of me, it's going to hurt you significantly in your path of growth. You need to learn to adopt the mindset of us. We win. It's us. Let us win. It's not about let me go out there and destroy everyone else. We all win together. And if you learn that thought process, your opportunities will grow immensely.
Right, and build each other up. But because I think that's something that sometimes is missed in our industry, is building each other up and helping each other. Kind of like uniting forces and collaborating and help each other. Kind of like that whole story with Pace Jordan Morby. That's also going to be at the event with Crabs in the Bucket. They're either, normally before becoming an entrepreneur or starting your own business, it's like these crabs in a bucket that pull you back down. They don't want you to get back out of the bucket. Why don't we be the crabs in the bucket that help each other kind of like create a link where we all get out together from the bucket and make it and kill it in this business, right?
I owe my life to those people at the top that were pulling me up. Like, I've had a lot of people reach out and say, hey, Daniel, will you mentor me? I do not mentor people. I absolutely do not mentor people. But I believe I have mentored people in a different way, through the education platforms, through this podcast and stuff like that. But on my path up that hill, I keep talking about, the long track to just find my way up to the top. Other more advanced people were at the top looking down, and they saw me smoking, just going wild, trying to run my way up that hill. And the biggest people in my life that have mentored me up to where I'm at right now did not come with a huge sales pitch of like, all these things added together today are worth $75,000 and for today and today only. If you kill yourself to get to the back of the room, I'll give it to you for $19. Those were not my mentors. The mentors were the ones that had already been to the top of the hill, and they saw me struggling with their way up, and they'd throw a rope down to me, and they'd pull me up to the next one, like, hey, this is what you need to do. And then I'd get to that next level, and I'd be chilling over there for a while, and I'd try and find my way to the next level, and somebody at the top yet again would see my actions, not my words. They were seeing my actions, and they'd say, that guy needs a hand to the next level. He's not asking for a handout. He's out there trying to do everything he possibly can, and they'd throw a rope down to me. He's like, hey, man, here, I'll be your private backer. Here's another $500,000. Let me pull you up to the next level. Because they saw that my actions rewarded with their knowledge, and they dropped their knowledge on me for free.
Exactly. Absolutely. I love how the three of us that are sitting down here, we all are doing our part in some way. You with your next level flipping, next level.
Yes,
right? Next level. Yeah, it's something, I'm a part of that mastermind, and I like it. It's very informative, and it's really giving me a lot of extra tools that I either didn't seek out for help, but I go there, I'm like, let me see what are in the file sections, because that in itself, there's a lot. With Propelio, I've been an avid follower and fan of Propelio for quite some time, and I strongly believe in the product, and I strongly believe in what I call, it's a university, a real estate university.
Basically,
and it's all free.
I can't use that word.
Okay,
I can't use that word. For legal reasons. I literally cannot.
But I can.
But the academy is there. I do appreciate that.
Okay. All right. So it's propelio.com/academy. It's your library of real estate information, all your fingertips, and it's absolutely free. And I love your software too. Tell us a little bit about what you've done with the software, because I know you've done some stuff.
We are constantly just reinvesting everything right back into making the product even better. But we have access to nationwide lead lists. No matter where you're at in the country, you go in, public record data, 15 different list types, 100%, 5,000 leads a day. You can download them. Like 5,000. I don't even know how to do the math on that. That's like 150,000 leads a month that you can download. Nationwide access to MLS comps. So if you're needing to comp properties, available to you there. If you need a turnkey investing website, you have no previous experience in building websites, you don't have the time to go out there and do that, within 5 minutes you can have a website for your business. So you can get rid of that at gmail.com email. You can go out there and say, this is Daniel at ibuyhouses.com. You can actually get some legitimacy there. You can go out there and run your pay-per-click campaigns back to those websites. We've also got a Driving for Dollars app called the Propelio mobile app. We just released that over the past week or so. So if you're out there driving for dollars and you want to be able to skip trace people, send direct mail to people, see your historic drives, all of that from your phone, that's available now. And everything that we have today is going to be even more tomorrow, because we do not stop developing. We are constantly developing. We're working into next year, working with you to go through a voice over IP marketing system, all built in together, working with you for call centers. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff at Propelio. So if you have checked us out in the past, check us out again, because we're always building.
Yeah, it's
Always.
exciting.
You're pivoting,
Always.
you're growing, and that's important and necessary for your business. If you're not growing, you're not pivoting, that's a problem, and we're here to help you with that through Next Level Flipping, through Propelio, through Wholescaling Live. So many resources out there, and highly recommend that you reach out and get your ticket. Again, 50% off. Propelio Live is the promo code for the next 48 hours. Yep.
So how can we help everybody out there? I'd like to see some comments drop in and see what everybody out there has thoughts on today. We'll continue pushing this conversation forward as these comments drop in, but I want to see how everybody that's out there watching right now, I think we have close to 70 people watching across the different channels. How can we help you? Give us some feedback as to what it is that experienced people that are sitting up here on the stage right now can answer for you to make your lives better, to make your businesses run smoother. If you're just now getting into this, you haven't done a deal yet, and you're like, what's this, and this? Let's see if we can help some you out. If you're an experienced investor and you've been doing this the last 4 or 5 years and you've been crushing it, and you're concerned about what might be coming in the path for this upcoming market turn, let's answer some of those questions for you while we still have the time. And let's pull this back for a second. Let's talk about Wholesaling Live. Where is this at?
It's going to be in Houston, Texas, the Woodlands, but it's still Houston. And yes, October 4, 5, and 6. And the 7th will be a think tank session, which is an added bonus.
Who
That's
are all the
exciting.
speakers? Who are all the
Okay,
speakers?
so we have, here we go. If I could speak fast, I'll do it. Rafael Vargas, Lee Kearney, Don Costa, Steve Train, Gary Harper, Brian Ponciano, which is BP, Annie Draganova, Daniel Chad Moore, Jamil Damji, Jamie Wooley, Chris Ontiveros, Antoine Campbell, Pace Jordan Morby, Nick Perry, Nicola Espinosa, and RJ Bates.
That is an amazing lineup
That's
of
a
some
lineup.
solid investors there. These people
Strong
are
names in the game for sure.
What I can promise you right now is if you did not recognize some of those names, by the time this event is over, you will know who they are because they are solid, actionable people that are actually out there doing the business, that have some serious knowledge about what's going on, and they all have a different point of view. That's what I love so much about this event, is you're going to see multiple different points of view. This isn't just a come here and learn how to wholesale event. This is a come here and walk away understanding the whole side of this business, the whole scale to the business. It's not just wholesaling. Wholesaling is a very small fraction of what this business is.
Exactly.
Most definitely
Yeah, because
so.
you have Chris Ontiveros from Arizona. He's an Arizona flip guy. He's now buying lots to build new homes. So he's doing different things, and he's recession proof because he already went through the recession. He and I have that story in common where we were doing really great with retail sales, and then 2007 hit, and then just it went. That was a really steep and very deep fall.
And that's one of the things we're trying to pass on to this next generation of people coming into real estate investing is things looked really good. If you got into this business 2013, it's not hard to look like a rock star. Like if you came into this business in 2013, it is not hard to look like a rock star.
Thank you for saying that, Dan. I appreciate that so much.
I'm sorry. But the point to that is if you do not have the hindsight of the last recession and you don't have the hindsight of the cyclical market, you can find yourself really fast getting caught in a situation that a lot of people got caught in 2008 with. I know of dozens of personally dozens of investors that jumped into that 2007-8 era, and they were doing things like higher volumes on smaller margins because they just thought that that's how things were going to be. And they ended up at the end of 2007-8 bankrupt, saying, what the F just happened to me? They were a rock star, and now they're hiding under a rock saying, you know, what just happened to me? Serious investors that had millions in their portfolio wiped clean immediately because they were not aware of the cycle. If you jumped in 2013 and you're flashing your Lambo and you're like, oh, look at me, and I'm like, great. But I also see what else you're doing. You're flipping higher volumes at smaller margins because you don't know this business and you're about to get popped. Let me warn you, I love your Lambo. Keep that Lambo, but you need to change up your business model and fast because you're going to lose the Lambo, you're going to lose the credibility, and you're going to lose a lot really fast if you do not understand the shift that might be coming.
Yep.
That was the biggest thing I took away when I first started learning this business is luckily people were very open and honest and said I had all of this and I went bankrupt. I lost it all. And that scared me. So I really paid attention and respected their story because I got in when they were like, how are you doing this? You got in the toughest time to do this. I didn't know any better. Again, mindset. You know, nobody told me it's going to be really tough for you to do this. I was told it's easy, it's simple, you just have to take action. So I did those things and did it, and then realized later, like, oh, it was probably not the best time to just start going and wholesaling. But either way, I took that and I respected that. So I think it's huge that you're giving that information out because so many people don't know. They got into this business recently or they're taught, like, it's easy, just keep going. It's like there's a lot of other things that you need to learn about within this industry, you know, before you take the next step.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, I let fear paralyze me for a long time from that recession. It really, really did a number on us. And so, yeah, we weren't prepared. We were not responsible. We were just not doing things right. And so we learned a lesson really hard. I thought my life was over. I thought it was the end of the world. And so my parents always told me, they're like, look, you're young, you're going to bounce back. And I just couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I let that paralyze me for quite some time. But here we are, you know, we're ready for the next wave, no matter what it is. We're ready for it, we're prepared, and I think that we have the tools now in our toolbox that will enable us to move
And sharing
push
those
through
tools
it.
with others so they hopefully don't have to learn the hard way the way that you had to, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So they can learn now and not have to step into that.
Absolutely. So
That's
that's
what
the
we're trying to
goal.
pass down to the
Yeah.
next person. Like
Right.
we've made our way to the top of the hill.
Yes.
We're throwing those lines back down to everybody
Yeah.
else that's struggling their way back up. Like we're trying to carve a path up this hill. We're not
Right.
trying to just get to the top and be like, it's a secret. Don't
Yeah.
tell anybody else how to succeed. It's like
There's
it's
so
like,
much you didn't have
there's
to
an
be a
abundance
No.
in this world. If we got
Right.
rid of that scarcity thought process, we could
Right.
all win. There's no reason that we all shouldn't be winning at this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, yes.
Oh, I'm just pointing out that
okay.
we had a couple of questions
Okay,
popping
great.
in.
Oh,
so
let's do it.
we had someone just pop in right up there saying, running into so many sellers that are almost zero equity. We can't wholesale them. Should we be concentrating on the creative financing? I wholeheartedly say yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like if they have zero equity, there are still multiple entrance and exit strategies that we can employ on that specific property situationally. But if there's zero equity, there's opportunities for lease options.
Yes.
There's opportunities for subject to. There's opportunities for sub to wraps. So there are several creative financing options that we can employ on that specific property, so that way that deal is not lost to the wind.
Absolutely.
And one of the things, like if you look at Propelio Academy, there is a 36 video course in Propelio Academy on that strategy specifically. If you go to creativecashflow.com, Grant Kemp, that man has dropped
yes.
massive amounts of knowledge on creative financing. He built a $5.5 million net portfolio in the last downturn when there were people coming in saying, there's nothing we can do. He was the guy coming in, the 15th person in the door saying, oh yeah, I can do this deal all day long, and just destroying it, because creative financing is something that is held closely guarded, and
Yes.
Grant Kemp's abundance mindset has released that to the world. It is absolutely out there. If you want to go learn it, check out the Propelio Academy. Once again, a resource that we're providing to y'all at absolutely no cost to you. I hate saying free, because it was not free. We paid millions to get it out there.
Yeah, it wasn't free.
It was not free.
Go
We just
giver
didn't
right
charge
here.
you
Go
for it. We
giver. Yeah.
spent the money to get it out there and get
Right.
it done. So let's look into that. And like, yeah, creative financing all day long.
Yes, absolutely.
So do we have any other ones pulling up in there? So we got some other stuff pulling up.
Will George Dean
Will
is
there be a
asking-
video recording of the event for sale? That's a good question to address, so people don't wait and on the recording. But
Right.
is there not?
We're working on that.
Okay.
So we will do an
Still up in
announcement.
the air.
It's still up in the air. We're
Okay.
doing it. We've had people ask us that and ask us for a live feed as it's happening. So I don't know which way we're
I
going
think
to go.
I think if you want to get the most out of this event, you need to be boots in the seat, because
I agree.
you are going to be there. Questions are going to pop up that you're going to want answered, and you need to have the ability to raise your hand and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" And the networking that you're going to get out of it, you'll never get in front of your computer. Network
Exactly.
means a bunch. So if you're
So
on the
important.
fence of like, "Oh man, I don't really want to have to make my way there," it is the most important factor to it, the network. There's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of solid action takers there to gain all this knowledge together. The people you're going to rub elbows with. I get asked all the time, where did you find access to 9 figures of private capital? My solid answer that I say every single time is I go to networking events. People will hear me talking about my business, and I will have some random person from within the crowd that gathers around me that is completely opposite of what most people would anticipate a private lender looking like. We're not talking about suits and ties. We're talking about like some Crocs, some board shorts, and
Oh, so you're talking about Pace Jordan Morby.
Yeah.
Just kidding. There's this inside joke because he took a video of somebody in Crocs and he's like, what's this? So,
well, that person was $40 million.
Yes.
The next one was $19 million. The other person was $84 million. And they will approach me just through standing there at that event, because those people go to these types of events because they're wanting to surround themselves with people that they can start working with, because they have a lot of capital sitting on the
need to
sidelines
put
that
it.
they're wanting to put it. And if they see you at that event, they see you taking action, and they see that you have the mindset that they want to invest in, guess what? The money flows to you. If you go into the universe, you employ the secret, the laws of attraction, the stuff that you want will come to you. These events are a key piece to making that happen.
absolutely.
They are.
Yes. Yes. The network. That's good that you mentioned that, Daniel, because the networking alone, I mean, really, honestly, think about it. The logistical aspects of this whole event, getting those 15 power players all in one space, the same weekend, that was tough. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
That
sure.
was hard. That was hard. But our goal was like, we have to make it happen. It's going to happen, and we're gonna figure it out. We had to tweak some dates here and there, and it worked. But yes, and everyone what I like about our entire lineup is everybody has something in common other than success. everybody's a go-giver. And that is palpable the moment you come across any of them, like Daniel or Jamie, anybody that you come across at that event, everybody's a go-giver. And that's key, because if one or two people weren't, that would not have been a fit for our event.
Right.
So we wanted it to keep all consistent, and everyone on there, on that stage, is just willing to give.
I absolutely love that. Like, I have, even through everything that has, all of the failures that have hit me in my path moving up, I have still achieved a level of abundance. Like, I am happy. I have everything I could ever need. Why should I hinder someone else's path up because of my scarcity mindset? Why should you hinder your own mind by embodying a scarcity mindset? That is the key thing that I think that I have developed over the past 12 years of moving through this thing, is really shifting from that poor mental mindset of scarcity. Because when you are down there at the bottom, scarcity is real. It's like, I don't have my rent money. I don't have gas for my car. I don't have food to eat. It is real. I've been there. I know that feeling. But the biggest shift from getting from that peace to the abundance life is adopting and accepting the abundance of life, because the scarcity mindset will keep you there. Having that mindset of I don't have will keep you there.
Oh yeah.
Thrive on the fact that it's available, and believe in the process, and that belief in the process and the belief in abundance will shift your mindset considerably. And that is one of the key things that I have and still strive to adapt and modify, is that scarcity to abundance mindset, because it is a poor mentality to have that scarcity within you. The abundance is real. It is out there. I saw another question pop up from Phil. He was asking me, how am I trending the market cycles? I am not a huge data guy, The things that I rely upon, though, are A, gut instinct. Whenever I see flippers flipping at 86 cents on the dollar on average, and I've got data to back that up, 86 cents on the dollar on average, the reason there is a 70% rule is because the rule is there to protect you. And when I see people breaking that rule because they are a motivated buyer, there's a problem. Whenever I start seeing wholesalers flipping properties at 90 plus cents on the dollar, there is a problem. When I see days on market increasing on the retail side, there is a problem. When I see months of inventory increasing, there is a problem. Whenever you see the 10-2 T-bonds reverse, I was not aware of that. One of our Propelio users, we all teach each other. A Propelio user, Andrew's like, hey guys, what do y'all think about the 10-2 T-bond reversal? And I'm like, what the F's a 10-2 T-bond reversal?
I started thinking the same thing. I don't know that.
The Treasury bond.
I don't know.
Well, you got the Treasury bond. You got a 10-year Treasury bond. You got a 2-year Treasury bond.
Okay.
At the point in time, the government gives you better returns on a short-term investment than a long-term investment. There's something going on. And if we look at historically, the 10-2 T-bond reversal has been a significant indicator of an upcoming recession. Predicted 6 out of the last 7 recessions. Within 18 to 24 months, it is a leading indicator that there is going to be a recession. How deep that goes, we do not know. But why would I ignore a leading indicator like that? Well, especially when I have other factors that are telling me we've got high percentage flips going on. Wholesalers are moving properties at ridiculous numbers. Days on market are increasing. The months of inventory are increasing. And then if we start charting this out and we start looking at this Wall Street wise, we start charting our home prices. We look at support and resistance. We've got support at the bottom. We've got resistance up here. Well, if we start trending our prices and we start trending everything else, and we start seeing our prices hitting a historic channel that is indicating that we're likely going to hit a resistance, there's a lot of things indicating that in the next 2 years, we might be hitting a problem. I cannot say, are we going to flatline? Are we going to tank? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Absolutely no way I can predict any of that. What I'm going to say is current data is saying we are headed down a path that is probable of a change. And if we are not prepared for that change and we are not modifying our business as we are today, I'm going to see a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for jumping out of windows because they were not paying attention. I have seen a lot of people up here on this very stage, Propelio, and I love every single one of these people that have taken action and made a change in their life. They've made it to the top of the hill. But what they're not paying attention to is that there's a snowbank sitting right above them, and while they're screaming and clapping their hands, there's vibrations going on. And if that avalanche jumps in on top of them, they're going to lose everything they've earned. And I know that word, earn. I've had to earn my way up through that. I want to see
Yes.
them win. And I want to make
Right.
sure that those people that got in 2012, 13, 14, that did not see what happened in 2008 are very much aware of what could happen to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those of us that did go through that 2008, which we felt in 2007, that we don't fall again on that. I mean, we're prepared, but we're always open to hearing extra things that we can apply and implement in our businesses to avoid that.
Definitely, yeah.
That's a scary thing, and it's real. I mean, I can't, make more of a.
It's real.
It's
And
real.
I
Yes.
cannot say how bad it'll be. I cannot tell you if it'll flatline. That's beyond my pay scale. But we do have trade wars going on right now with China. We have all of these things going on in a political environment across the world because everybody's like, oh, well, Texas can't get hit. Texas is a strong economy.
Right,
And I'm like,
right.
if the entire world's economy, like we've got the U.S. dollar with the IMF, we've got China over here with the renminbi, and we've got all of these trade wars going on. If things happen that are beyond my intelligence, that could really affect the entire world's economy.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I like, God, I could rant about this all day long. Like
I'm loving this.
if you want to read up on this, Nouriel Roubini, a very well-known economist that has accurately predicted numerous recessions. Nouriel Roubini wrote in his book, Crisis Economics, he broke down the last recession. He broke down what happened in the Great Recession that we hit. And he responded to how did it become the Great Recession versus the Second Great Depression. Well, we went through massive amounts of quantitative easing. The Federal Reserve was dumping billions of dollars of inflationary money into the market. They reduced capital, or the cost of capital. Interest rates went down to historical lows, almost zero, because they were trying to get money to move. Money moving keeps the economy going. So they were trying to incentivize people to move their money by lowering interest rates. Massive amounts of quantitative easing. Inflation. All of that went through and kind of, we were going, woo, and then they started doing that, and we kind of hit that, and we load, and then we went back up again. Well, if we do hit this again, and we see any level of recession like we saw the first time around, any level, what are they going to do? Are we going to drop our interest rates again? They're already there. How are we going to power through that? If we do get through there, what are they going to do to spark the economy again? They can't lower the interest rate, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What is it predicted and anticipated and spoken on over 100 years ago when a prior economist over a century ago witnessed this exact same thing happen in their country? The second time around, the only true way that could possibly spur it back up again is not inflation. It's not hyperinflation. It's the exact opposite. It's depreciation. They're going to depreciate the value of the dollar. Put timestamps on notes that say if you don't get that money out there fast, you're going to lose it. And if that happens, how is that going to affect the world's economy? How's the world going to look at the dollar as backing the IMF? How is all of that going to happen? So I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but I want to just say historically this is what happened, and looking into the future, if we don't pay attention to history, it's doomed to happen again.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yep.
So is what it is.
No, I agree.
So I really don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I love Miranda.
Other than 50% off your wholesaling tickets
Oh man.
for 48 hours, that's a lot to say. That's exciting.
Exactly.
I love it. So
Miranda, your wife, Miranda Moore says, put gratitude into the universe and the universe will give back more.
I love
Absolutely.
it. I absolutely love it.
Me too. So yes, and with that being said, we thank you so much for watching us. I
Yeah,
think we're
thank
wrapping up,
you.
right? Your tickets for Wholescaling Live at wholescalinglive.com, 50% off from here until the next 48 hours. Your promo code will be Propelio Live, and Propelio will have an event also on October
8th will be the Propelio event. We are about October 8th at the Palace Theater in Grapevine. People fly into this event regularly. We've had people fly in from China, from New England, from the West Coast, from the East Coast. We have people that always drive up to it from around the local Midwest. This is a huge event. We often have around 500 to 800 people showing up for it. It is massive. This event is going to be on scaling and processes, procedures. Gary Harper from Sharper Success Coaching will be speaking on a panel there. We will have Eddie Wilson, a a CEO that manages 300 plus million a year in revenue on stage. We'll have Quentin Flores on stage speaking about how he has scaled his business. We're trying to give you a vast variety of personality types so that way we can connect with them. I might not be able to connect with a $350 million CEO, but I can get their perspective. But I personally might be able to connect with a Q Flores that came from a similar background to me, and I can see that somebody like me has done it. It's easy to sit there in the crowd and say, oh, well, he's a $350 million CEO. It's easy for him. And you can embrace that excuse.
Sure.
But whenever you can see people like myself, I was looking at life in prison at 19. I came up with a different background than most people. I was able to make it to where I'm at, not because of my past, but because of the people I surrounded myself and the knowledge that I gained. It's the knowledge that gets you to where you're going, and that's what we're trying to share with you today.
Absolutely.
Right, most definitely. Yeah, I love it.
Let's
I
hit
love
it.
it.
Let's do it.
So let's do it. All right, guys. Also in the comments, I saw that Propelio dropped the link for you if you're an iPhone user or Android user for the Propelio app, which is robust, it's a tool that's robust with lots of services that you would benefit from. So don't forget to register for that, and also propelio.com/academy. Yes.
Thank you,
And with that being said, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you at Wholescaling Live on October 4, 5, and 6 in Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, guys.